Get ready for the dictation. On the count of 3, 2, 1, start. Vice Chairman, sir, by cutting all the welfare schemes, an extra amount of rupees 70,000 crores is being provided for investment in infrastructure. By doing so, the growth rate may rise as the government believes in a trickle-down manner, but it will be a top-down approach. It will be trickling from top to bottom. So it will be that approach. The plan is to create wealth at the top at the corporate level, slowly, which government believes will trickle down below. This is all anti-poor step. For the government, it appears that the reforms means the new land law, which we have opposed and we will oppose. I have already spoken about that. The government's motto is to corporatize the entire country. Now this is very important. Looking at everything, the entire budget and the way in which the government has been going on, it is clear that the government is for corporatization of the country. Sir, I request all the members that while taking on the legislation for the corporatization of the country, they should stand against this type of policies by voting. I expect all colleagues to do this for this important legislative process. Sir, I try to read the budget speeches of the UPA and speeches of then opposition leader and other opposition members. Sir, this budget is a continuation of the policies of the UPA government. That is, they are trying to carry forward aggressively the 1991 neoliberal policies. They tried their best to carry forward them. Sir, I tried to get the copies of the speeches of the then leader of the opposition. We had several wonderful speeches by Mr. Arun Jaitley in this house, particularly on budget. But I could not find out the speech for 2013 to 14 because at that time nobody could speak on budget because we in the opposition jointly obstructed the budget discussion. The word obstruction is the new terminology used in the budget discussion. It is obstructive or it is constructive. It depends upon the perspective. If you look through the eyes of the corporate, then obstruction to the policies is obstructive. If you look through the eyes of the common man of this country, then this obstruction is changed into a constructive approach. Sir, protest, agitation, obstruction is a part of democracy. In our concept, this obstruction is entirely different from obstructive policies. If we try to obstruct a budget which intends to protect 1% super rich of this country, then it is constructive for the common man of this country. It is constructive to protect the interest of the country. I recall the speech of Shri Arun Jaitley on the budget speech of Dr. Manmohan Singh. But sir, recent years have witnessed an excessive reliance on indirect tax for additional resource mobilization. This escalates cost, fuel inflation, and is regressive in its impact. Therefore, I have not relied on the indirect tax as a major source of resource mobilization. Sir, Shri Jaitley had demanded that this should be implemented, but what is the trend of the budget presented by the Finance Minister in the Lok Sabha? The budget proposal will reduce direct tax by rupees 8,000 crores, which is benefiting the rich, but it will increase the burden on the people through indirect tax hike of rupees 23,000 crores. Apart from direct tax benefits, some of my colleagues have already mentioned wealth tax has been abolished, corporate tax has been targeted to reduce from 30 to 25% greater concession and access to FDI and FII are absorbed of capital gains tax and minimum alternative tax. A progressive taxation implies that individual and corporate pay taxes according to their ability to pay. What is the composition of indirect and direct tax? The direct tax is different from indirect tax. In the case of petrol, around 50% of the total cost is indirect tax. I went through the entire speech. It mentions several types of impacts of indirect tax on economy. For every 100 rupees collected as tax revenue, approximately 30 rupees come from direct tax and the rest come from indirect taxes. The finance minister has mentioned the international experience. I would like to draw the attention of the Honorable Finance Minister to the composition of the international tax structure. You are talking about the corporate tax. I am mentioning about the component of direct tax in the total tax. This is his international experience. Why is the minister not trying to implement this? This is time to raise the direct tax. Instead of that, the finance minister has tried to increase the indirect tax and decrease the direct tax.